60 FPS for me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a presentation of Scarlet Nexus. I have played the game for around 7 hours and I want to give you my impressions of the game. First of all, the game has a decent amount of options in the settings. You can choose between English and Japanese voices. I prefer English. It has a good options for the volumes. And it has what you expect. Brightness options, it has full rebindability on keyboard. And it has full rebindability on controller. I prefer to play with controller, so that will be what I am doing today. In the graphic department, it has two types of anti-aliasing, FXAA and TXAA. I do not know what the difference is, but for the people in the know, this will probably be a nice thing for you to know. I will also just say the game runs at steady 60 FPS for me, which is nice. It has low, medium and high quality for texture, shadow and post-processing, and it has the obvious resolutions for the game. Cannot change it here, and it has full screen window and borderless window as you expect. I have not tried to uncap the frame rate. I am fine with what I have. I will post my specifications in the description so you can see if it matches, if it makes sense for you. Yes, so the story is a sci-fi dystopia set in the somewhat near future, it feels like. You are defending the world against weird alien-like creatures called Others. There are two stories, they are interconnected, but to get the full story you will have to play through both characters, Yuito and Kazane. I will be playing a bit of Yuito, as that is what I have the experience with. It is an anime game, Japanese game. It is developed by Bandai Namco and published by them. And since it is an anime game, it does take a few hours before the story really picks up. It is about 3 to 5 hours before the story begins to get its big inciting incident. I am going to skip the cutscene here. They get something. I will just show a bit of it and then I will go on to the gameplay.
Be strong.
Systems all green. Beginning SAS cable connection.
And then you go into a simulation after that happens to you. So this is Yuito. The combat starts out a bit clunky, as you are not used to it. It has a bit of a floating feeling to it, but as you get used to it, it is perfectly fine and it has a lot of flow. You are part of a group of people who have special powers. You have psychokinesis, and there is a system called the SAS system that allows you to use your allies' abilities.
Should be able to handle any kind of other psychokinesis power.
So you will be augmenting your psychokinesis and your melee attacks with pyrokinesis and electrogenesis, and you will also use other interesting ones such as clairvoyance, for example. It is an interesting combat system. It is a bit shallow, but it has a lot of flow to it. You will later unlock an execution where you have to combine your melee and your psychokinesis to deplete their stamina bar. And when you do, you can execute the enemy.
There's There's a
It
chance
has a fight lock-on system, and you have to use
to
it.
make it through this exam, no matter what.
Aerial combat, you will also later unlock other things such as double jump and augmentations to your combat through a skill tree that is not super deep, but is more than serviceable. Later on, you will also unlock a system called the Brain Drive. This is probably my least favorite system of the game, as it is a bar that you fill as you are in combat, and when it is filled, it activates automatically. This means it is just an occasional buff, rather than a system you can actively plan around. And I think this is due to a lack of buttons. I would have preferred if you could use it on demand rather than have to use it whenever it is full. And this comes in doubly, as you have some side quests that requires you to kill specific enemies while under the influence of Brain Drive. But it is a minor gripe and you can still plan accordingly. I should also say the Brain Drive does decrease slowly out of combat, so you can still, if it activates in a combat, you can still rather quickly get it filled up or use it for the right enemies. Finally, the game has one of my favorite upgrade systems I have seen. You have your normal weapons, you buy your level 1, your level 2 weapons, and they are just incremental upgrades. Then you can also upgrade your weapons to what I would call a half tier. For example, you have your level 1 standard weapon, what I have equipped right now. Then you get the exchange option and you will be able to upgrade it a bit. But instead of then having to buy the level 2, for example, you can then upgrade the 1.5 weapon to the level 2 weapon instead. So you don't have to clutter your inventory and you don't have to have useless weapons sitting around that you have to sell. It is a system I think more games should implement, especially when it is just incremental upgrades. So let's go with the presentation. The aesthetics, I like them. They are sci-fi dystopian anime, and it has a lot of neon and it has some holograms. So you will be seeing things that you're used to in the real world that are just holographic, and I like that touch personally. The music is great. It is not amazing, it is not the most memorable, but it serves perfectly as background music for the game. For exploration, it is a linear game with stages. What we see here is the main hub. It is a single zone you will run around in and pick up side quests in. And this is the full extent of it. This is your main hub. Right now, for now there won't be combat in here. I do not know if there's going to be a lot of combat in here, but I do not think so. It is the primary place for you to pick up side quests and explore, and shop for that matter. Now about the linearity of the game. You will go to other areas as the story dictates. You will then be able to re-explore those areas later and defeat old enemies. And you will also be encouraged to do so through side quests that you pick up here. There is one side quest hub area, the Musubi side questing area, that is completely non-diegetic. It is not connected to anything except the overworld map, which I am a bit disappointed in. that could have been a side place to this main city. Luckily, it is not used that much, but is rather a place that is mainly used as a crossover place for the anime that was released alongside with the game, and it is currently ongoing, which is a great idea, and I like that mixing of the mediums. So overall, I like this game so far. The story has pulled me in. I like the ideas it has put out. The combat, as I said, it can get a bit floaty at times, but when you get used to it, it feels really fun, and the flow of the combat is really just, I don't know, it feels fun. So if you like your anime games, your action games, I would suggest trying it out. It is a fun game, and with the 2 stories, I think it might have some interest for people who like games like Nier Automata, and I am myself a big fan of that game. So yeah, with that I will say thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please throw a like, comment or subscribe.